Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you would like to know how much, who to blame really, who to blame for incompetence, ignorance, lack of professionalism, empathy, I don't even know what other emotions or reactions, how this was effed up. How the reaction, or I would say preparation, that could prevent hundreds of thousands of people to lose their homes, to lose their businesses, and many of those who I don't think will ever be reported with the right number of victims lose their lives. So let me tell you, well, let's start with the scandal that is connected to how we are helping the victims of flood that just went through Poland. Not only through Poland, as you know, Czech Republic, other regions in Europe as well. You could see Budapest, how high the water level was there, as well as also in the United States we had hurricane, I think Helena was the name, in Florida and I believe North Carolina as well. But since I'm here in Poland and since I know the language and I see a lot of videos heartbreaking videos from the people who have been affected by this, I'm gonna give you two topics today. The first one is, are we helping the victims of the flood or are we still helping Ukraine? So this will be the first article that actually comes from the video, which you will find down below in the description box. And the second one is a brilliant speech during a conference that took place about, I think, 2 days ago. And during this conference, one of the retired generals from the fire department explained what we have as a rescue force in Poland, what have been used, how it was used, and what could have been done to not only prevent many of those damages, but to help, to save when this water was already going through that region, to save those people and the properties and their livelihoods. So let me tell you first, the scandal in the Silesian Voivodeship, Czechowice-Dziedzice, this is the name of the place, of the town, and fell victim to floods. That region fell victim to floods, and they had a meeting of the councillors from this town that were decided how to allocate 16,000 Polish zloty, which it's around $4,000, a little bit more than that. And they decided to allocate this money for the power generator for Ukraine. Yes, you heard this correctly. Not for the victims, but for Ukraine. So I will read you this resolution, but there was, I think, 19 councillors, only one of them objected. And this is from the recording from that meeting, from this only one person, the only one man who objected allocating this money to Ukraine, but instead giving that money for this power generator for the victims of the floods. So he says, when I was reading this resolution and preparing for the session, I could not believe my eyes as I read it several times. 10 days ago, the inhabitants of Czechowice were called up. Many of them didn't receive the generators because there were not enough power generators, units, and so on. I personally lent one of the families a unit and an oil heater to somehow save the situation. It seems to me that this is ridiculous, that in the current situation that we are even voting for something like this. And here is the official resolution from the 26th of September that says regarding the provision of aid for Chernivtsi Oblast in Ukraine, pursuant to Article 10, Paragraph 3 of the Article of March 8, 1990 on municipal self-government, the following is resolved. The community of Chernivtsi, sorry if I mispronounce, Oblast in Ukraine will be provided with material assistance consisting in the transfer of a power generator. The assistance referred to in the first paragraph will be financed from the funds, from the budget of the Czechowice-Dziedzice community for the year of 2024 in an amount not higher than 16,500 zloty, which, like I said, around $4,000. The implementation of the resolution is entrusted to the mayor of Czechowice-Dziedzice. The resolution comes into force on the day of its adoption, that was 26th of September. Now, to be precise, as you see in this video, if you watch it in Polish, in that particular region where this power generator is going, in Ukraine, currently there were no shortages of electricity, and the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine announced that the Chernivtsi Oblast is the only region that has not experienced bombings in the recent days, which means that it has not been affected by rocket attacks that caused problems with electricity supplies in other regions of the country as a result of recent attacks on energy infrastructure in other oblasts. Hundreds of towns were deprived of electricity, but not that particular region. So what do you think, guys? What do you think? Definitely that region needs more power generator than those poor people who lost everything. Before I go to this incredible words from this firefighter general, I will tell you that I was watching the videos of the victims of those floods, and it's truly heartbreaking. There were people saying that there was many older people who were left in some buildings and they were disabled. They were not able to run away. Those people lost their lives. I don't think the numbers are even reporting that, of course. There were people who had small businesses, a lady who owned a bar, and she said that she went to the city hall, I believe in that area, anyway, into the place that's supposed to give them the support, financial support that government has promised, and she was informed that only people who are like regular citizens, meaning not the small business owner, are those who are eligible to receive that about $2,500, 10,000 Polish zloty financial support. I don't know how those people are going to make it. I don't know how they will even clean those areas and dry those areas out. I have to say that it's really heartbreaking because, you know, it's getting colder now, so I don't know, but let me tell you how much I will say this in bad word, how much they fucked it up. So here we have the conference 2 days ago, I think it was, where the general firefighter, he's already retired. You will find the video down below in the description box, is saying those things, and I translated this from this video for you, so I hope this is the right translation, and if you appreciate this translation, hit this like, it helps the channel as well. After analyzing the documents that I received from the ministers, and he mentions the name, and after my analyzing from my experience and from what I have received from the cadets from the south of Wielkopolska, from that region, from the current officers that are still in service, I have my own assessment of this situation. Let me comment on this quite deeply. Let's start with the potential of the National Firefighting Rescue System, because it will show you the scale and what we are talking about. And then you will see what scale has been involved. 31,000 of the State Guard officers were involved. Fire brigade officers and regular officers, 220,000 bridesmen and brideswomen. This is the translation. It's not, of course, regarding the wedding, but you know what I mean. The supporters were prepared for action with full training, examination, and over 400,000 people who are associated with the volunteer fire department, who are ready to provide the simplest help that does not require specialized qualification. With all the respect, there is no larger army in Poland than the fire brigade and the volunteer and the state brigade, and that is the truth. Before I continue, I didn't know this. This is actually pretty impressive, I have to say. So, let's continue. So we are dealing with 250,000 rescuers ready for action. Before I get to how many rescuers were sent into action and in what time, here is some time chronology. On September 10th, the first information from European Union mechanism with which the National Coordinator Center is linked comes about the threats. So, like I said before in my videos, September 10th. On the 11th and 12th comes further information, and I know it from the study I received from one of the ministers, that there are threats of the 3rd degree of the areas of the Lower Opole Silesia, and the threat is very serious. The next element is information from the commanders from the Czech Republic, who called their counterparts in Poland saying, listen, the Great Water is heading your way. It is like in 1997 or maybe even greater. There is one more important element, the general says, that was only used on September 13th, the Copernicus system that was launched at the headquarters. It is a system that is coupled with satellites that orbit over Europe and in real time show maps of what is happening around us. Even if it wasn't raining in Poland, we knew that a lot of water would come from the Czech Republic because the Czechs would empty their tanks. The first orders were issued by the chief commander on September 11th, checking combat readiness in firefighter schools, aspirant schools, and at the fire academy. Then the first demand came from Wrocław on September 11th to support the operational reserves of the commander-in-chief. Ladies and gentlemen, they sent 36 firefighters and a dozen or so cars, which means 12 cars or so. And this is from the document. Of course, later it says there were further dispatches and so on and so forth. At one point, I must admit, I couldn't sit still at home and I started to become more and more interested in this matter. I made a few phone calls and I found out that at the culmination of the operation, that is on September 13th, 700 firefighters were involved. I will remind you once again, we had ready 250,000. A moment later, we have information from the minister and the commandant that we have 9 KSRG involved, and we are talking about a flood, the largest in 14 years. I will tell you how this could look like. If on the 10th of September, EU sends information, the first thing what General Headquarters do, they inform its superior, Commander-in-Chief, who's supposed to go to the minister and analyze the situation together. The State Fire Service is centralized with one decision, whether the minister or the chief commander can be sent to the area for several thousands of people. One decision, several thousand people go to help. Today, when I hear the argument from the Ministry of Internal Affairs about where we were supposed to put them, I know where. In the central school in Częstochowa, where you can put 1,000 cars and place over 1,000 people right away, because it is a big school with a great facilities. Besides that, we travel around the world and save people and we manage it in areas that are inaccessible. So we would definitely do it in Poland even better. I remind you that 16,000 volunteer fire department units is in Poland, 503 rescue and firefighting units. We have a really well-organized system, National Rescue and Firefighting Services. We could have gone earlier after all. The course of the Vistula and Odra River is not a surprise to anyone. From 1997, this is when we had in Poland the largest floods recently. From 1997 in that year and in 2010, we can draw conclusions where are our strengths and our weaknesses. Even if the water wouldn't arrive, we could have reserve on standby and treat it as exercise against flood, which we weren't doing in Poland in a long time. So it shows that the forces and resources available, even human ones, were too small. And it is not a surprise that the firefighters were missing in those areas, but it was not due to their fault. We are also talking about the equipment. In the last few years, we had modernization programs. Over 3 billion Polish zloty was put into the volunteer fire brigades and the state fire service. Hundreds of millions from the EU, which we obtained. And we were showing as an example that the state fire service is able to obtain such a funds for equipment. And at some point, I find out that for the flood areas, only 2 water tankers have been disposed and only few pumps. Only in 2023, we have bought 100 flat bottom boats to save people. And I am reading now the post on Facebook that civilians have to fundraise money for the boats and we have to come by the scooters. This is unnecessary. All this equipment is in Poland. We are a huge rescue force. Listen to this, guys. To emphasize this even more, we are the 4th rescue force in the world when it comes to rescuers, trained firefighters, and we could wait for the water and not chase it. I translated the big part of the information that this general provided. A lot of things I didn't know myself at all. The scale of how they fucked it up and how many people are in the position that they are right now. You know, I don't know if this is another form of depopulation, that's what they are doing. I don't know, I think this is the only way how I can look into it anymore, because nothing explains this level of, I don't think this is about being not professional and ignorant. This is about doing this almost intentionally, which is just the most cruel thing you can think about. So this is it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. The links to the videos will be down below in the description box. If you appreciate the content, please hit this like, subscribe to my channel, share the video, leave the comments, and thank you so much for joining me on other platforms, which are linked down below as well. And I see you tomorrow in another one. Lots of love. And remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. Bye, guys.